Grand Rising. This is the I'm a Hot Fool channel. So today I have questions or statements about this movie right here. I don't want to say the name or anything like that because I don't know if that's gonna, create an issue. I don't want any issues, so there it is. So that movie, for a long time I've been thinking that it's kind of I don't know if you have heard that sometimes in movies it's kind of like disclosures, that movies are disclosures or something like that. So I've been thinking that it might be actually true. And in the movie, they have, what they do is they scare children, and then they collect the scares or the scary sensations or something in these metal cylinders, and that's how they harvest the energy from scaring children, and then they use them for, energy or whatever they use them for. And in the movie, and here's a spoiler, so even though it's an old movie, it was made a long time ago. Or has been out for a while. There's a little girl. They go in and they scare children, and then they close the door, and then they collect the scares or whatever in the cylinders. So in the movie, the big monster goes in to scare a little girl, and then he goes, they're like in a different dimension or a different world or something. So the little girl, unknown to the monster, she kind of holds on to him, and then he doesn't know that the little girl is hanging onto him when he closes the door. So this little girl is now stuck in the monster world, or in the dimension where he's at. So he's trying to hide her, all this stuff. So it basically it ends. The point in the movie that I'm trying to get to is that something makes a little girl smile or laugh or joy or something like that, and it creates so much electricity or current or something that he lives in an apartment complex, that it blows the circuit of the whole entire complex. It's a big story building. I don't know, looks like maybe at least a 4-story building. So the little girl's joy basically created a lot of energy, a lot of power. And I'm gonna be there's different things that I trying to link together. They kind of don't. They might make sense. I'm gonna put the links in the description because I think they're all related. Maybe if you're into this stuff, you might figure out what I'm trying to get at, and maybe this might be all over the place, but at least it's a starting point, because I gotta start somewhere with all these. I see something, a pattern or something, and I'm trying to figure out if it's related or not related. So that's why I'm going to use the pendulum. I'll say a statement, and it'll tell me the likelihood of yes or no on this here. So I'll start by cleaning out the area. A video that I watched on YouTube with, it's called, the YouTube channel is called Quantum Truth with JCK, and this is episode 324 with, her guest was Dr. Jerry Marzinski, and basically the meat and potatoes of the conversation starts at 35 minutes and 7 seconds, where they start describing this doctor, or former doctor, or a Dr. Marzinski, Mr. Jerry Marzinski. He starts describing how basically he worked in these mental wards for some state, and he he started noticing that these what they label crazy people in these institutions and things like that, that they were all hearing voices, and he started noticing a pattern amongst all of them in different institutions in different places, and they hadn't even talked to each other. So these people that were labeled crazy and things like that, he noticed that the voices that these people were talking to were all saying the same thing, or saying similar things, that they were disliked the same things. He noticed a pattern. For example, some of these patients, no matter where he went or which one it was, these patients had never talked to each other, but apparently one thing he noticed is that all of the voices were negative. They were saying mean things and being rude and saying negative things. None of the voices were saying anything positive at all, like, oh, this and that. No, it was all negative talk. And some of the other things that he mentioned is that, for example, a lot of the voices that these people heard, they hated Psalm 91 and Psalm 23. They hated Gregorian chants, and especially if they were in French, for the French language. And they hated when people would go to church, or had a religion or something like that. So and then they also mentioned something about Ouija boards and things like that. You have to watch the video, so if you want to understand what I'm talking about, because then it's going to be too long for me to do this. So anyway, in that video, I got statements right here. So let's start here with, I have a bunch of questions I wrote down. So I'm asking my higher self now, for these beings that were mentioned in that video with JCK and Mr. Jerry, human beings make conscious contracts with the beings mentioned that they spoke about in that video. Human beings make conscious contracts with those entities. And I'm getting, it looks like 100% yes. Those entities or beings make conscious contracts with human beings. Yes. Okay, 100% yes. Okay, next questions. Animals make, I don't know, animals, some animals is probably conscious, like, I don't know, whales are very, whales and dolphins. So, animals make conscious contracts with these beings that were mentioned in the video, these entities that were mentioned in the video with JCK. Animals make conscious contracts with those entities that were mentioned in the video. Looks like 0% yes. Okay, thank you. Next question, or next statement. So, these beings are able to make themselves appear as passed on loved ones. These beings are able to mimic passed on loved ones. These entities that were mentioned in the video with JCK, these entities have the ability to make themselves appear or sound like passed on loved ones. looks like 100% yes. These entities that were mentioned, that were spoken about in the video with JCK and the doctor that I'm referenced to, those beings or entities are able to mimic or make themselves appear as if they are passed on loved ones. 100% yes. Okay, and that also goes with another movie that the reason I mentioned that is another movie that I'm going to be putting in the description is the movie. It's a documentary called Witness of Another World, directed by Alan Stivelman, and they this person who was abducted by I don't know if he was abducted, but he had an encounter basically with a entity, and then he mentioned that he saw his passed on grandfather, and then they later in the documentary they had this scientist who used to work for NASA or work for NASA, I don't know, one of those scientists that knows a lot about that stuff, and he said that entities can okay, so I had to pause because I didn't I need to make more room for videos. So back to where I was at, it seemed like it had used that person's memories. Specifically, it was his grandfather. And this scientist that was in the movie, in the documentary, mentioned that a lot of, because this guy, specialized in dealing with people who had encounters. So what he noticed is that a lot of these humans that had encounters with aliens, it seemed like the aliens or whatever the other entities would take their memories and use like memories of past loved ones or things that they cared about in order to get their way in somehow. So okay. So back to the whole contract thing. Here's asking my higher self. All contracts between these beings that were mentioned in the JCK video all contacts between these beings and others are made consciously. All contracts made between these entities mentioned in the JCK video and human beings are made consciously. Getting 0% yes. Okay. Making room for more videos, but asking my higher self, these beings, these entities mentioned in the JCK video, are able to make themselves appear as passed on loved ones. I'm getting a very strong 100% yes. Okay, thank you. Next question, or next statement from my higher self. These beings flatter human beings. They use human, well actually, let's just cancel, okay? Let's say this. These entities mentioned in the JCK video, they use human emotions against humans. They use humans' emotions against them. They attempt to use humans' emotions against them. 0% yes. Okay, let me see if I can word it. So these entities mentioned in the next statement, these entities mentioned in the JCK video, they having the ability to use humans' emotions, they are able to manipulate human beings through their emotions by using their emotions, creating emotions in them, is how they manipulate human beings. 100% yes. Okay. Alright. So next statement. Let's see. The next statement is, these entities mentioned in the JCK video are able to scan the memories of humans, and this goes back to the movie, the whole Witness of Another World documentary as well. But my this is for the audience to know. But my statement for my higher self is, these entities mentioned in the JCK video are able to scan the memories of humans in order to use their memories to create emotions in order to manipulate them. Ooh, I'm getting like a strong, this pendulum is swinging. Yes, 100% yes. Okay. Alright. Okay, the next statement I have is, so in that movie, the movie, the documentary called Witness of Another World, directed by this is for my higher self. Another statement for my higher self. The movie called the documentary called Witness of Another World, directed by Alan Stivelman. They described the person who had the encounter with the alien entity. That individual, that encounter was describing energy harvesting. What that entity was doing was energy harvesting of some sort. The entity that was described in the documentary Witness of Another World, that entity, what was described was energy harvesting. 0% yes. Okay. So in that documentary, Witness of Another World, from Another World, that I'm mentioning, the description, what the entity was doing was, here's my next statement. What the entity was doing was collecting information. The entity was collecting information. No. 0%. You know, I thought they were related, but let's ask this. My next statement for my higher self. Higher self, the entity that was described in the documentary, Witness of Another World, the entity that was encountered, the alien entity, that is the same type of entity that they spoke about that is the same type of entity which was described in the video with JCK. It's a video where she interviews the Dr. Marvinsky. That is the same entity they're talking about. Is describing the same entity, type of entity. Not the same exact entity, but they're the same kind of entity. No. What the heck was that entity trying to do? Okay, so the entity, next statement, the entity in the documentary Witness of Another World, the entity was that they described in there was performing scientific experiments. That's what that entity was doing. 0% yes. 0% yes. Okay. So my next statement is, in the documentary Witness from My Higher Self, Witness from Another World, the entity that was described there scanned the human being that had the encounter. They scanned his memory and used it to show him his grandfather. That's how they got the image of the grandfather, because that entity scanned the human being's brain. I'm getting a very strong yes, 100% yes. Okay, so entities can scan our memories and use it. Okay. I might as well ask. The entity described in the movie documentary Witness of Another World, that entity that the human had the encounter with, that entity had what we would call positive, had no ill intentions, basically. Its intentions were neutral to positive, basically. 100% yes. Okay. It's very strong yes. Oof. Like super yes. I guess that entity was not here to cause any negative effects to, those. Yeah. Okay. Alright, let's see what this cartoon, for the cartoon that I mentioned with the DVD that I have. That is actually true. Those entities exist. The entities in the cartoon that I've been referencing, those entities exist. They are real. Okay, I'm getting 100% yes. Alright. My next statement for my higher self is, the entities that were mentioned in with the cartoon that I've been referencing here, they are those entities are basically a disclosure of the entities that they spoke about in the video with JCK, with Quantum Truth with JCK. Mm, 0% yes. Okay. If it's not a disclosure, the entities that they in the movie that I've been mentioning with the cartoon, those are the same entities basically kind of the same entities as the video with JCK, Quantum Truth with JCK. No. Okay, that I've been mentioning, the entities that they are describing, those entities are harvesting energy. Those entities mentioned in the JCK video that I've been referencing, those entities are harvesting energy. 0% yes. Okay, the entities described in the next statement, the entities described in the JCK video, those entities are harvesting something. They're harvesting something. They are harvesting something. 0% yes. Okay, the entities in the JCK video that they talked about in the JCK video, those entities are feeding at that time. They're feeding when they do their thing. They are feeding themselves at that time. They're not harvesting, they're just eating, they're feeding. Okay, 100% yes. They just feed at that time. Getting 100% yes. So the entity, okay, so back to the video, my next statement for my higher self. In the video, in the documentary Witness of Another World, the entity that the human being encountered, that entity was actually feeding at that time. No. 0% yes. Which is a no. Okay. So next statement for my higher self. In the video with JCK, the entities that they mentioned, those entities need to feed in that manner in order to survive. %, yes. Okay. So next statement for in the JCK video, the entities that they spoke about, they basically, what they're taking, what they're doing, what they're consuming, when they do all that nasty stuff that they do, whenever they do that, they're feeding, but it's kind of like a delicacy. It's like a dessert. It's like a treat. Kind of how we, I love chocolate, but I don't need it to survive, but I love eating it. So the entities are doing that because the ones in the JCK video, they're doing what they do because whatever they get out of it is like a treat for them. Okay, getting a strong word. Okay. Let me drink something here. Those entities mentioned in the JCK video, they are unable to use whatever techniques they use. They are unable to use them on the techniques that they mentioned in the JCK video. They don't work on a human being who is balanced and in control of their emotions. Okay. 0% yes. So okay. So they work on everybody, I guess. even if you're balanced, okay, not on everybody, but if you're balanced and in control of your emotions, those techniques that they use in the JCK video will still affect you. Okay. So let me put it this way for my higher self. Maybe I didn't word that. So the techniques that those entities used in the that were described in the JCK video, those techniques still have an effect, are still able to affect a human being who is balanced and in charge of their emotions. Those techniques will work on a human being who is balanced and in control of their emotions. I'm getting a 0% yes now. So what I just said, that's a no. Okay. There's another video that I watched that I think, I don't know if it's related or what, but this one is by the channel, it's a YouTube channel called Solara Speaks, and I'll put the description in the link, but it's basically and I'll put it in the description where exactly it is in the video, because it's a long video, so it's only like a 4-minute stretch where she talks about entities keeping humans in states of emotion. And so basically my statement is, you can watch the video if you want, and I'll put it in the description. For my higher self, the consciousness scale of emotions that the YouTube channel Solara Speaks, the one she is always talking about, the consciousness scale of emotion, is used by entities use this scale of emotions, and they use the lower states of emotion against human beings to control them. Entities. Okay, the entities that were described in this is for my higher self. This is another statement, higher self. The entities that were described in the JCK video, they use lower states of emotion such as fear and shame to control human beings. Yes, I'm getting a strong yes. Okay. And here's my next statement for my higher self. The reason that these entities use the lower states of emotion on the emotional scale that Solara Speaks talks about, the reason they use the lower states of emotion is because when it is easier to harvest their whatever they're trying to get when human beings are in that state of emotion. No. Okay. Okay. So in the video that this is another statement from my higher self. In the video that I watched with Solara Speaks, in which she describes a hierarchy of entities that, you know, they, I guess they get brownie points or something. They are higher ranking the more they harvest or something like that, or the more they are harvesting or taking something from human beings. Those entities that she mentioned in that video, Solara Speaks, are the same entities that that they're talking about in the JCK video. They are describing the same entities. Okay, 100% yes. So the entities, higher self, just to make sure, this statement right here, the entities that are described in the JCK video that I've been mentioning, and the entities mentioned in the Solara Speaks video that I'm talking about, they are talking about the same entities. 100% yes. Okay. 100% yes. Alright. So these entities, next statement, the entities that were this, you know, that are mentioned in the Solara Speaks video and the JCK video, higher self, these entities require an entity, they require human beings or some other form of entity to create physical changes in this world. 100% yes. 100% yes. Okay, so higher self, this is another statement here. The entities mentioned in the JCK video and the Solara Speaks video, these entities are unable to move objects or cause changes in the physical world. They are unable to do that. Okay, 0% yes. Okay. So my next statement is for the entities in the Solara Speaks video and the JCK video. Those entities are able to cause certain changes in the physical world. They can cause they can move, those entities can move objects around and things like that. 0% yes. Oh, I see what why my statement was here. I'll word it another way. Higher self, these entities mentioned in the Solara Speaks video and the JCK video, the only way these entities are able to cause physical changes or basically manipulate matter in any way is only through beings which are physical. Basically by convincing physical entities to do things. 100% yes. Okay, next statement. higher self, the entities mentioned in the JCK video and the Solar Speaks video, those entities that are mentioned there, they are unable to manipulate matter, move things around just on their own. They are unable to do that. Yes. Okay, maybe they can manipulate some things. Maybe they can manipulate, like, the entities mentioned in those videos that I'm talking about in the JCK and Solar Speaks video, higher self. Those entities are able to move objects around on their own without the help or assistance of another being. Okay, 0% yes. Those entities that I'm talking about in the Solara Speaks video and the JCK video, higher self, those entities are able to produce sounds. They are able to produce sounds without the assistance of another. 0% yes. Okay, how about they are able to produce waveforms? Okay, I know what. Higher self, in the Solara Speaks video and the JCK video, the entities that they mentioned, those entities, they are able to produce electrical signals. They are able to produce electrical signals without the assistance of another entity or human being, or on their own. They're able to produce electrical signals or some sort of electrical charge or something. Yes. Okay, looks like 100% yes. Yep. Okay. The entities mentioned, the next statement is for my higher self. The entities in the Solara Speaks video and the JCK video, those entities are feeding off electrical signals. The delicacy that they are consuming is electrical signals. Yes. Okay, getting strong, yes. 100% yes. Alright. I'm reading my questions. Okay. So I think this may be related. Okay. So I'll put the links at the bottom, but basically this is another thing that's related, I think, is Dr. Joe Dispenza. He talks about how human beings, this is for my statement from my higher self. According to Dr. Dispenza, human beings, when they have a feeling about something, when they emotions in human beings, tell me if this is correct, higher self. Human beings, feelings, when human beings have feelings, they cause a magnetic charge. They create a magnetic charge around them, or on them, or something like that, in their field. Feelings cause a magnetic charge. Okay, yes. So, okay, so Dr. Dispenza is correct, according to my pendulum. Okay, my next statement for my higher self is, This is from Dr. Dispenza also, but this comes from Dr. Dispenza. And I'll put the link at the bottom. But regardless, higher self, let me know the likelihood of this. Human beings, thoughts in human beings create electrical signals. Electrical signals. Yes. And just to check, human beings for human beings, when they have thoughts, that creates a magnetic charge. Thoughts in human beings create a magnetic charge. No. The answer is 0% yes, which is a no. Because feelings, now this is me talking, because as far as what I understand is that feelings cause a magnetic charge, and that thoughts create an electrical charge in there. These entities mentioned in the JCK video and the Solaris Speaks video, these entities, they show up in tarot card readings. If you do a tarot card readings, they show up in the readings. They're detected through tarot card readings. No. Okay. Okay, next statement for my higher self. The entities mentioned in the JCK video and in the Solaris Speaks video, the same entities. Those entities occupy the same space as we do. They live in the same space. Okay, we share the same space. 100% yes. Okay. Okay. And next statement for my higher self is the entities mentioned in these videos, the JCK and Solaris Speaks, those entities, you know, kind of like how, you know, animals and humans and all that, we live in the same earth. So basically, those entities are encroaching in our space. Those entities mentioned, they are encroaching in our space. No. 0% yes, which is a no. Huh. Okay. The entities mentioned in the Solaris Speaks and the JCK video, those entities, human beings and those entities, we live in the same dimension. We exist in the same dimension. Oops. 100% yes. Okay. Okay. Next statement for my higher self. Those entities mentioned in the Solaris Speaks video and JCK video, those entities, they have no physical bodies. They do not have physical bodies. 0% yes. Huh. Just kind of out of the blue question, but that I just... In the higher self, the entities mentioned in the Solaris Speaks and the JCK video, those entities are astro traveling entities. They are astro traveling. 100% yes. Okay. What the heck? Wait, okay, now it's moving. The entities mentioned in the Solaris Speaks video and the JCK video, the entities mentioned, those entities are astro traveling to this space, or 0% yes. I have to higher self. The entities described in the JCK video and the Solaris Speaks video, those entities, they astro travel when they are doing whatever they're doing. They are astro traveling. They are in astro travel to wherever they do their thing here, to human beings. Whenever they're doing what they're doing, they are in astral travel at that time when they do their stuff. 100% yes. Okay. Next statement for my higher self. The entities mentioned in the JCK video and the Solaris Speaks video, those entities, they have bodies somewhere on this earth, on the same earth that we live on, but they are astro traveling to certain human beings to do whatever they do to them. 100% yes. Okay. Wow. Huh. Okay. My next statement for my higher self. The entities described in the Solaris Speaks video and the JCK video, the entities, those mean asshole entities, those entities, they are human beings. They are human beings who are astral traveling. Oof, 100% yes. Damn. 100% yes. They are human beings who are astral traveling, and those human beings are on this earth. Yes. 100% yes. What? That's crazy. Wow. Who, like, wow. Okay, just kind of a question that came from that. Higher self, the entities in the Solaris Speaks video and the JCK video, those entities, those human beings, those are human beings who are paid to do that. They're hired, and they're consciously hired to do that, and that's their job. 100% yes. 100% yes. Oof. 100% yes. Those entities are human beings who are hired to do that. 100% yes. What? I mean, I can't ask the Pendulum, but I wonder, like, where do they advertise for that? I mean, what is it, monster.com? Or, or, what do you call it, Indeed? I mean, I don't know where they find these people, like, hey, we need some jerk to, yeah, anyway. This one, higher self, for the entities mentioned in the Solaris Speaks video and the JCK video, those entities, only speak English. They only speak English. Those entities only speak English. I mean, okay. I'll word this another way. A higher self for the entities mentioned in the Solara Speaks video and the JCK video. Those entities basically target their main target. Okay, 90% of their target or more are English speaking targets. 100% yes. Yeah, it's like swinging like, yeah, yes. So 90% of the targets, you know, in the video with Solara Speaks and JCK, 90% or more of the targets of those entities are English speaking. Yes. Okay, that's why they don't have supposedly crazy people, you know, in other countries barely. Okay. So they're human beings, why can't they be... Okay. Why can't they be... You know, just wondering here. If those are human beings, then why can't they be picked up by through tarot card readings? Okay, let's ask this. Higher self... My next statement is... Tarot card readings are able to pick up astral travel. When there is an entity astral traveling somewhere, tarot card readings are able to pick up on it. 0% yes.